In this section, we're going to try and answer your questions about what it's like to go to Download Festival, things we recommend, and things to avoid. This time, security. So for a lot of us, Download is our annual holiday. Some people go to Spain or Greece. We go to Donington. So when you're away for a camping trip, the last thing you want to deal with is losing anything valuable. So we've got some hints and tips to keep you and your valuables safe. It is worth saying that Download doesn't have a high crime rate and it isn't known for terrible things happening. But these are sensible reminders on how not to have your trip ruined for the sake of a few simple things that you could do. So what have we got?
First and foremost, I believe getting a locker is essential. With the lockers at Download, not only will you keep your purse, your wallet, or your keys safe, you'll be able to charge your gadgets as well.
Yeah.
Phone, your cameras, whatever.
Got a little USB socket in there, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just that peace of mind. You could put all your personal stuff in there, and it's safe. It's away for the weekend.
Yeah.
Just don't do what I did in 2018 and lock your keys in your locker.
See, I still don't even know how you did that.
As I explained on the video, which you still haven't put out, by the way, that's your monthly reminder. Right. I put them in the corner of the locker as a sort of, right, they're out of my hands and I can chuck all my stuff in the locker. And I did just forget about them briefly, shut the locker, and then clip the lock shut.
Yes.
And as I walked away, I thought, fuck, where are my keys? Oh, shit.
They're locked in the locker.
They're locked in the locker. Luckily, if you do this, because I can't be the only person ever that's ever done it, just give them a tap on the window and just say, I've locked my keys in my locker. Is there anyone that can help? And they will come with a massive set of bolt cutters to get your keys out. You will then need to get another locker, by the way, but at least you get the keys out.
Did they charge you again for it?
I don't think so. I can't remember 100%, but I don't think they did.
Okay, that's very interesting, but worth knowing. But to avoid all that, don't put your keys in the locker. Don't put the locker key in the locker. Keep your actual keys in the locker. Like your car keys and your front door keys and all of that.
Yes, car keys are important. Do not lose your car keys. I lost my car keys at Download Pilot and lost my shit.
Oh yeah, quite in a big way.
That was not a fun experience.
No, you were on your way home, weren't you? Basically.
Yeah, no, that had done me for the weekend. I was going to Miss Shikari because obviously the stress that happened out on the Friday, trying to find a spot, and then that I just thought I'm going to lose my mind. I have to go home. But luckily,
the 2021 Pilot was cursed for you particularly, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean that's the perfect way to describe it. Yeah, I mean I always have a good time at Download. 2019 I went home early because my feet were killing me. That's beside the point. But yeah, it seemed as if the curse had gone from one person and landed on me. That's irritating. I hope that doesn't happen in 2020. This doesn't happen this year.
No, I agree with you. So what I would say to you is don't bring anything that you don't mind losing, because it really will upset you. Basically, if you lose something that's, I mean, it's hard nowadays with, £1,000 smartphones and things like that. But, if you can bring a backup phone instead of your normal phone, then do it, because it's going to be so much easier on you to lose a phone that's worth 30 quid than it is to lose a phone that's worth £1,000. And bringing other cameras and stuff. Bring a cheap camera. I mean, it sounds like a real no fun type of weekend if you follow my advice, but can you trust yourself? That's the question, really. Can you trust yourself to look after your own stuff? Can you trust your mates with it all? Can you trust...
You will be happier knowing that your belongings are either safe at home still, or again, as we mentioned, the locker, safe in the locker. It is the worst. Take it from someone who experienced this last year. Losing something so valuable it will destroy the weekend.
Yeah.
There are other videos online as well, obviously, that did their own vlogs and stuff with people on there saying they'd lost their phones, lost things that, again, so I'd lost my keys. And they said the weekend was ruined.
Yeah.
Which, again, you don't want to go through that. And I can say from experience, it's horrible.
Because it takes you away from the music and your mates, and you're just at your tent, turning it upside down. You're at your locker, turning it upside down. You're scouring all the places that you've walked by, all the vendors that you've been to, and you're just completely gone from download by that point. And you are, it's ruined by that point, isn't it? Even if you do find your keys. So it's worth considering alternatives. Because there are alternatives, actually. You can get a cheap phone with a half-decent camera on it. You don't have to spend $1,000 just because that's what they're asking for it. You can get decent stuff that actually doesn't cost you that much as an alternative. And see, I've just immediately had a thought here, which I don't know whether I can share. But use cards instead of bringing large sums of cash.
Well, I know exactly what you're talking about. We won't go into it.
No.
But yeah, I mean, taking large sums of cash, even if you don't scream at the top of your lungs that you've got that cash, you're still a target.
Top of your lungs.
That wasn't meant to make you laugh, by the way.
No, but it's there's a situation. Oh God, we're gonna have to tell people that there was somebody that we know who went to download and brought large sums of cash, and he didn't go home with the cash, and the vendors didn't have the cash from him. It sort of disappeared while he was asleep, shall we say?
Yeah. So, I mean, with that as an example, even if you don't, like I said, even if you don't scream from the rooftops, you've got this cash, you're still a target. I mean, if you go to the vendor, you whip your wallet out, and let's say, even if you've got £100 in your wallet and you've got all those purple notes or the reddies, just flash out, someone will follow you. Someone will collar onto you and say, right, I'm going to find out where his tent is. I know, obviously, I'm gonna rob him. And I mean, again, I think that may be the worst thing as well. Imagine saving up all that cash and then having it just disappear, whether it be stolen, whether it's dropped, whatever.
That's the thing. It's physical and it can be lost. Things can happen to it.
Yeah.
It can be fall in mud even, and then it's
Whereas, if you take your card, if you lose your card, and you provide you've still got your phone on you, you can call up to get that cancelled so nobody else can use it.
Yeah.
What you would then do for cash, I suppose, a lot of us now have contactless on our phones, so we can use that.
Yeah.
I imagine if you're going with a group of good mates, they could probably help you out for the weekend, obviously provided they pay you back. Yeah. I mean, imagine saving up, working your arse off to save up a lot of cash to then it just disappearing. I'm going to keep using the phrase disappearing because, again, it could be lost, it could be stolen, it just disappears.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily expect to be robbed at download. It's not a case of somebody coming up to you with a weapon or something like that and saying, give me your money, necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but I'm saying that that's extremely unlikely.
We'd like to hope that it is unlikely.
Because you are searched on the way in,
exactly.
And whilst it's not, they're not going to find necessarily everything that you bring in. For example, that there's a good chance that they will find it and they'll ask you not to bring it in or take it off you. So in terms of I'm not expecting to see weapons or anything like that. So I wouldn't say you're going to get robbed, but I would say if you've got valuables like cash, large sums of cash, if keep it well out of the way and use the locker, and don't tell anybody about it. Certainly don't boast about it, because A, you're going to alienate people by telling people how what great stuff you're bringing with you, and B, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting your stuff at risk. It's physical. It's an item that can be taken off you. So don't tell anybody if you're going to bring it, or even better, don't bring it at all. That's the thing, isn't it, really? Don't leave anything unattended if you don't mind it disappearing. The temptation is to set your tent up, put your stuff in there and think, right, well, that's all my stuff. Safe. Zip that zip, and that's everything safe. No, it is just canvas. And I've had it happen to me on a couple of years where I know that my tent has been opened whilst I haven't been there, and somebody's gone through my stuff.
I'm pretty certain it happened to me as well one year. I do make mistakes, but as this podcast is a prime example, and I can be slightly forgetful. But I'm pretty certain in this example, I left my tent shut, and when we came back, I'm pretty certain it was open.
Yeah.
So you just got to have your wits about you, I suppose. Such just leaving anything unattended, just be careful. I mean, even when you set your tent up and you put your chairs outside to obviously sit under your gazebo and chill out, put your chairs back in your tent because someone might like your chair. And
it's a matter of opportunistic thievery. You know, if somebody's walking past a chair and they want a chair and they see yours and you're not there, they'll just, they could just take it. I'm not saying they will, but because not everybody's bad. If they're drunk or whatever, if they're on some substance that they shouldn't be on, then it's a matter of it being there and available, isn't it? So if someone's, I really feel like I'm saying obvious things here. I really feel like I'm telling people to lock their front door before they go out. After they go out, not before, obviously. I think it's worth bringing up. I do think it's worth bringing up because whilst you're at a festival, you're there to have fun. You're not there to think about all the serious things about looking after things, putting things away. You're not in a serious mood. You're in a fun mood, aren't you? So I do think it's worth highlighting a little bit of sensibleness when you go out, because you're in a field full of drunk people and things could happen to your expensive stuff. That's all we're trying to highlight, really. Use a bum bag when you're in the arena to keep your stuff on you. That's a good tip because then it's always on you and, it's... even if you fall over or, you're upside down on one of the rides or something, then it's not going anywhere, hopefully. And also you can get to know your neighbours as well when you're in the campsite, and you can try and look out for each other.
I think that's quite important. When we were at Bloodstock, we made friends with about four or five guys that must have been in their 50s or 60s, and then we got to know them and made friends with them. Luckily, nothing happened, but it was just knowing that you've gained the trust of your neighbours, that you trust them to be able to basically, just look out for you, and if something's gone awry. Or you can even have the other experience I had at Bloodstock, my first Bloodstock. I got very, very drunk.
Yeah.
And I shit you not. No. I shit you not. I saw a unicorn.
Right.
No, that's absolutely, hand on heart. I saw a unicorn, but that's not the point of the story.
Was this the same event when you walked stark bollock naked out of your tent to go to the toilet in the middle of the night and a load of people saw you?
I was getting to that. Yes. This is what bonded my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. This is what bonded us with our neighbours, was seeing me run bollock naked through the campsite towards the loos. And getting to know your neighbours is it makes you feel a little bit more safer. Even if you flash them by mistake, it makes you feel a little bit more safer and a bit more trusting of the neighbours around you. So it's definitely worth, the odd good morning, the odd small talk conversation can just make you feel a bit more at ease with the people that are around you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, when we say get to know your neighbours, we're not encouraging you to flash your genitals at them in a sort of nighttime dash to the toilet.
I don't recommend it. It was rather embarrassing the next morning.
I bet it was. What did the unicorn think about it?
It wasn't very chatty, if I'm honest.
Okay, fine.
No, but it was definitely there though. These two blokes again neighbours. I was very trusting towards them, and they gave me a swig of this cider out of a jerry can.
Oh,
And the missus loves a cider, so she says she'll have a go. And all she imagined was they just literally just tip a little bit in there so she could have a sip and have a little bit of a try of it. They filled up our drinking horns.
oh, very
And
generous.
she drank hers. And she drank hers. Thought, oh, that's really, really strong. She managed to get about half down before she started feeling a little bit piddly. I, on the other hand, decided to neck mine and hers, and there was a unicorn in the campsite a few hours later.
Okay.
It's true. I'm not right. People don't believe me when I said this. I'm certain there was a unicorn.
All right. Well, I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't say whether there was or there wasn't. I've got your say so to go on, and I trust you. So aside from unicorns, also try and make yourself known to the security staff. They do wander around in the campsites, just doing rounds, looking for things. And they're very chatty, to be honest. I've done that job before. And they're technically called stewards. Some have badges, security badges, and some don't. Some are there as a sort of customer service aspect, and some are actually there as security. Very often in very similar uniforms, though, and from the same company. So it's always nice to chat to them and find out what's going on, and it's a nice relaxed atmosphere. So once you're in the campsite, you tend to be more chatty anyway. So it's nice to chat to the staff there because they will probably want to chat to you. There's also the dog squad who can help. Now, we don't talk about the dog squad very often. What's the dog squad?
The dog squad. So if you've ever volunteered to work at a festival, which will probably usually be through Hotbox events, Download has dubbed them their dog squad. They will be in their green hivers jackets, basically there to answer all manners of questions regarding anything Download related while you're there, whether it be directions, whether it be what's going on, where's the best campsite, where's the nearest campsite. They're there to help. They are like the security. They are trained weeks in advance, obviously, to be able to answer all those questions. They will be led by their zone managers. The zone managers are part of, I believe, Download's event team. So it's not as if these random bunch of volunteers are going to be literally just let loose to help in whatever way they think that's the way. They will be under the direction of Download affiliated members of staff.
So you've got a manager for each sort of campsite or so, haven't you, really? And you've got volunteers within and under those sort of managers. They're usually in a little hut. You find them in a hut sometimes, don't you? And, they're giving out advice and stuff.
You do. You will definitely be able to hear them as well as see them. There's always someone with a megaphone, either blasting out some decent tunes off of their phone or just trying to talk to somebody in the campsite who's shouting back at them. It's rather entertaining. Again, every person that I've come into contact with in the dog squad has always been lovely and very helpful. So don't feel too scared or anxious to ask them questions, because that's what they're there to do. They're there to help.
Oh, yeah. And as somebody who has worked at many festivals as the sort of steward stroke security type person, we are loving life just as much as you are, although we're not always as drunk as you are necessarily. It's nice as somebody who can walk around from place to place and chat to people and look after people, to be able to chat and enjoy the weather and the atmosphere and stuff. I mean, they have accepted a job working at Download, paid or not, because they want to be there. They want to be there enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying speaking to people like you. And I loved it when I worked at Download, and I loved chatting to people, and the whole atmosphere was just fantastic. And to get paid to be there, it was amazing. They're really approachable people, basically. And lastly, most of us love a beer or two. Some people even love other naughty stuff. But with that in mind, do be aware of your surroundings and what you're actually drinking, and look after your mates. And, you can say be safe at Download Festival. I don't know how many people are actually going to listen to that because I've seen what goes on. But, depending on how much you value what you've brought with you and all that sort of stuff, just take care, basically, because no one wants to end up in that awful, it's the medical tent. Nobody wants to end up in the medical tent with a problem. I mean, not that it's they're very good in there, they're very helpful, but the aim of the game is not to end up in medical or needing the care, particularly, of any of these officials. Ideally, you just want to go in there, pitch up, enjoy yourself, and go home again.
Yeah, I mean, as long as your fun doesn't interrupt with somebody else's fun, because we've all got different levels of fun. It's making sure that you and your mates are having a decent, safe time.
Yeah. So it's hard to do a security guide without sounding like the fun police. We want you to have a good time. Of course we do, because we're going to have a good time. But I suppose we're sort of making up for, obviously people who haven't been to a festival before, or younger sort of people who are perhaps a bit more naive about what to expect at a festival. I mean, I know my first time at a festival was very different to my last time at a festival. I mean, you certainly gain an understanding of what's expected and what you what to do, what not to do, what to leave in your tent, what not to leave in your tent. I do think that...
Well, it turns out I've done the complete opposite. I started going with my wife, and then now she's not there to hold my hand. I lose my shit.
Yes.
So this guide's for me more than anybody else, really.
Yeah. I just didn't want to sort of sound like we're patronising you on don't leave your phone in your tent when you go to watch a band and stuff like that. It's just a sort of guide on how to enjoy yourself and not lose all your decent stuff that you want to take. Because of course you want to take your nice phone. You want to take all your nice stuff with you. People take music and speakers and stuff for the campsite and wallets full of cash and stuff like that. And if you want to do that, do it. But at the same time, you can't expect to hold on to it for 100% of the time if you're just going to leave it in your tent. I mean, it's a common sense sort of guide, isn't it, really? It's a common sense sort of thing. Yeah,
like you say, with this isn't aiming to be patronising in any way, shape or form. It is more of because we've either experienced it ourselves or we know people that have experienced really, they've not been secure in themselves and their belongings, that it's just worth making a guide about this so people know that, yeah, we want to look out for you guys as well as look out for ourselves.
Yeah, and we've seen some shit happen.
Yes,
so we kind of want to look after you and make sure that shit doesn't happen to you. And we're sure that you can look after yourself without needing our help. But what kind of guide would we be if we didn't include a few words on security?